Shalom, Shalom, Yasharala. Shalom, C Nice Films said subs. The Water Ak, Yahweh Shem Yahushai Barakatah. Danya Allah, Daniel DC97, Shalom, Shalom. Master Shifu, Shalom sis, it's me.
Shalom, sis.
I'm not sure who that is, but you know who that is? No?
I'm not too sure.
Not too sure. Okay, so Shalom to everybody who's on here. It says there's about 4 people on here, but like last time it said there was only like 2 or 3, and then there was like at least 5 or 6 comments from different people. So Shalom to all of y'all that are watching this. Let me take this off the screen. 1 second. So I'm going to start by giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, and I do so in the name of His only Son, Yahweh Shai, our Hamashiach, our Messiah, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? So this is just going to be a quick testimony to our marriage, right? We've been together, what, about 8 years?
Yeah, about 8 years.
About 8 years we've been together, but officially married. Now, obviously, we didn't know what marriage was according to the word, until we were about 4 years ago, right? About 4 years.
Yeah.
And since then, we've grown through the word and through the power of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai and through the Spirit. So if you want to give me a verse real quick, baby.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to read Sirach 25:1 real quick. Danya Allah or DC, if you want to be pulling them up, I'll go ahead and I'll put them up on the screen. But we're going to start in Sirach 25:1. And this isn't so much of a study, really. This is just our testimony as to how we came into the truth and how we've grown since then, right? And hopefully, Most High willing, me and my rib, and maybe, we were just talking a few minutes ago. If y'all didn't see the brother Yeshaya, and what's his wife's name?
Angel.
Her Atho on.
Repent Yasharala.
So her and his rib, Repent Yasharala, is her name on Instagram, and Yeshaya is, I believe it's Yeshaya 144K. If you're not following them, they did a live last night, right?
Yeah.
Last night I wasn't able to catch all of it, but I did catch parts of it, and it was a beautiful thing to see, right? It's something that I think a lot of people could get help from by seeing people in the truth, or married couples in the truth, living out the word. You know what I mean? So let me go ahead and I better take off my hat because I know somebody's going to say something if I don't. So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 25:1. And so the water, right when I said it, it popped up, right? So it says, in 3 things I was beautified and stood up beautiful before the Most High and men. So these 3 things are beautiful to the Most High and to men, right? It's beautiful for men and the Most High to see these things. The unity of brethren, when brethren that are following the will of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai come together. The love of neighbors, when we're loving each other and motivating and pushing each other to follow the word and to follow this truth, right? The love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together, right? So that's beautiful in the Most High's eyes, when a man and his wife agree together, right? Which is one of the reasons why, I'll put this down, which is one of the reasons why we decided to do this, right? So, yeah, Tawada. So this is Yeshaya's Instagram if y'all want to follow him. And like I said, him and his rib did a live last night if y'all want to check it out as well, right? So it's Yeshaya 144K. So getting back to this, it says that it's beautiful in the eyes of the Most High when a man and his wife agree together, right? So we agreed to do this, and I haven't told you, but like, I'm proud of you to see you spiritually, like, even agreeing to this, because for those of y'all who don't know my rib, she's very I don't want to say shy, right? Shy, but she's very to herself, right? And I mean, you've always pretty much been like that, right?
Yeah.
Even before the truth.
Since I was a child.
So we'll start by like I said, this is more of a testimony as opposed to a lesson. So if you want to start by saying, how you found out about the truth and that sort of thing.
Um, how I came into the truth, I was actually pregnant with my first son, and we were dating at the time, and I was kind of going through some things, and I just wanted to turn to, what I knew was, God. I didn't know his real name yet, but I just wanted to turn to him and make things better, have a better life for myself and my son. So, I mean, I was following I was into that Christianity doctrine. So I was following a few pages, and I came across an Israelite page, and it had the tribe chart. So I was curious, and I was, I was thinking, like, like what tribe do I fall under? And as I was digging into it more, I'm supposedly from the tribe of Zebulon, and that's how I found out about it. And I was digging more and more into it, started learning more, learned about the Most High's name, and then I wanted to share it with my husband. I started showing him certain things, and what the main problem, I guess, was for me to get him into it completely. He was kind of like stuck, I guess, like what, smoking, with
With this,
smoking.
yeah, an addictive spirit, I guess you could say, to smoking weed, right? Which at the time, I mean, like I said, it was like 8 years ago. I was only about 21 or 22, so I had been smoking since I was maybe 12 or 13, so smoking for about 10, 12 years, to come out of that, that's a heavy spirit. I know people say that it's not addicting, right? There's no addicting chemicals in it, and which nowadays, I mean, with genetically modified marijuana and all that, there actually is, but it's more of a spirit. You just don't want to be in reality. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You just want to get out of reality. So I was really stuck in that. But then, you want to explain what happened?
I came across some videos, some teaching videos, and I shared them with my husband, and I wrote down a few scriptures for him to go over, and I told him, hey, check these out, and he did, and
And well, I'll take it from there. I'll take it from there. So I started when she started initially coming into the truth, right, or into the knowledge of the truth that we were actually Israelites, according to our seed line and our ancestors, things of that nature. Um, at that time, I actually came across. I was into well, both of us, right?
Yeah.
We were real into conspiracy theories, what people call conspiracies, right? So from there, somehow I went from a conspiracy video. I think it was like a flat Earth video, and then it went to a video of Priest Sabak from House of Israel, and he was teaching in New York in Times Square, and he was actually teaching something that was saying that Earth wasn't flat, but that's fine, right? The Most High used that um to bring me more into the truth, right? Just like how you said with the 12 tribes chart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people would debate all day about, oh, it's accurate, it's not accurate, it's kind of accurate, whatever, right? But besides the case, it's like Proverbs 20:24 says, man's goings are the Most High, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your goings were of the Most High, my goings were of the Most High to get us further into the Word, right? But what had happened was she saw, I think it was IUIC
Yeah, it
videos,
was
right?
IUIC.
It was an IUIC video, which I won't even say nothing about, but she found some scriptures from it and she wrote down on a little, I was thinking it was a flashcard, right? Or a piece of paper. It was a small piece of paper or something. And I remember she gave them to me, and I was outside smoking at the time. We had an apartment at that time, and I would smoke outside on the little porch or patio or whatever. And she gave it to me, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna smoke and then I'm gonna look at these, right? So I smoked, and then I just remember looking at them, and I just remember I was pissed off, right? I was mad. I'm not gonna lie. I was mad, and but at the same time, the Most High convicted me to the point where I knew it was wrong, and I knew I had to stop doing it, right? because at that point in time, actually, if you want to get First Corinthians chapter 7, please. If you want to pull up Daniela, First Corinthians 7, 13 and 14, Baba Kasha. First Corinthians 7, 13 and 14. So yeah, at that time, I mean, I knew I had to stop, but at the same time, I was angry with her for probably at least a week, you know, more or less, right?
Yeah.
More or less a week. I was trying to avoid her. I was trying to not really even talk to her. And it was weird because I don't really remember too much about that time, but I just remember that you still were conducting yourself in the right way that you were supposed to according to the word,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is First Corinthians 7 and 13, right? It says, and the woman which hath a husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. Right. So but before this or around this time, she was actually thinking about leaving me, right?
Yeah.
And briefly even did leave back to her mom's house, and then we reconciled the same day, but that's another story. But it says, if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. Right? Verse 14. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. So sanctified means to be made holy or to be made pure, to be covered by the Most High. We could say that, right? For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy, right? So at this point in time, um, she was by her actions, which actually, if you want to get First Peter
Mm-hmm.
3, 3 and 1, you can pull up First Peter 3 and 1, Baba Kasha'ak. We're probably gonna go to like verse, I think it's like verse 9, maybe. First Peter 3, let me see, 3, 1 through, yeah, we'll go all the way to 9. We're gonna start on First Peter 3 and 1, right? So this is basically during that period of time where I was angry with you, right? Because you were trying to show me the word.
Yeah.
But you did it in the right spirit, so it's not like I could really be mad at her, right? Because I knew I was convicted by the Most High, even though I was angry. And a big part of that being angry was me coming off of, smoking for that many years,
Yeah.
and then just quitting, you know. And like I said, it really was an addiction because you miss the breaking it up. You miss like cleaning it and rolling it or putting it in, you know what I mean? It really does become an addiction, right?
Yeah.
So this is First Peter 3 and 1. It says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands. Right? So now some people will say, or some females will say, you're supposed to be in subjection, yes, which means basically being obedient, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being subject to them. Only if they're in the word, right? But it doesn't say that here, right? It's not like a stipulation, oh, only if they're following the word too, right? It says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, which I mean, I wasn't really obeying the word at that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was the first one to start keeping Sabbath, and then I was like, okay, I guess I might have to do it too, right? And then what else? With the pork, right? Like you stopped eating pork, and then I just felt like, oh, I felt convicted in my spirit, like, okay, she's the one starting it, so I'm gonna have to it sounds horrible because I'm supposed to be the leader, but I was really following her lead at that point, you know what I mean? But the Most High put that spirit on me to be convicted. So it says that if, I'm gonna start from the top, likewise ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, right? So at that point in time, you could have been like most females and just got angry or been, you know, like Noah's favorite verse. What is it?
Proverbs 9 and 13.
You could have been a Proverbs 9 and 13 woman, right? You could have been loud and clamorous and all that. That's my son, my 3-year-old son's favorite verse, right? He would just randomly say that out of nowhere, as I'm sure some of y'all have seen. But it says, so they can be the husbands that aren't following or obeying the word, right? They can, without the word, be won over by the conversation of the wife. So just by seeing how you were acting towards me, even when I mean, I was being a shit. You know what I mean? I was being a jerk to you when you didn't deserve it, right? Which I know I've apologized for before.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be honest, right? Like
Mhm.
you didn't deserve it. And then verse 2, if you want to pull up the rest of the up to verse 9, Baba Kasha'ak. So verse 2 says, while they behold your chast conversation coupled with fear, right? So I was beholding that you still, even though I was being angry with you and I was being not the way I was supposed to,
Mhm.
because you told me I can't smoke weed no more and I had to quit because you know what I mean? But I still saw that your conversation was still coming off in a righteous spirit, and it was coupled with fear, right?
Yeah.
So you want to talk real quick about like how your grandma and the whole
Yeah, I
thing?
mean, it was a random day, you know. My grandma was into Christianity, and one day I told her, like, grandma, you know, like I fear God. And she's like, oh, well, that's good. And I was like, what do you mean that's good? And she's like, yeah, fearing the Most High is the beginning of wisdom. And when she told me that, like, it made me feel kind of special. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, and I
that's
remember
that.
that. I remember
Yeah.
that as well. Which her we would call her Big Grandma because she was a bigger lady,
Yeah,
right? She was a big woman.
yeah.
But rest in peace, because I mean she passed away already. But I remember that as well. Like she said, you know, and that was probably one of the first verses that I memorized when we were coming into the truth. You know, was Psalm 111 and 10. And so that fear, I could see that fear on her because it started making you keep the commandments. You
Yeah.
know. So verse 3. Let me see. Tawada Ak for posting all these up. So verse 3, did he post that one up? Let me see. Gotta scroll back. Okay. Verse 3 says, whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on of apparel. So it says that adorning, right, is not supposed to be um vanity. It's not supposed to be just physical, right? It's not about just putting on a head wrap and a skirt and all that. It's more about, it's like it says in what is it, the modest apparel? First Timothy 2 and 5?
2 2 and 12.
2 and 12, yeah, 2 and 12.
Or was
See,
it
that's
2 and 9? I don't
2 and
know.
9. Okay. Well, it's not so much the dress, right?
Yes.
Of course, that comes with it, but it's all about the modest spirit. And then from the inward, then it comes outward most of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's some sisters or even brothers that they don't do it that way, right? It's just the outward. It's more of, look at me, I look
Yeah.
like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's saying, whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing gold or of putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart. So it's that hidden person inside of you that no one can see, right? It's your heart that has to have that spirit, right? That chest conversation comes from the inside, that spirit, right? For after this manner, in the old time, the holy women also who trusted in Yahweh adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. Right? So if you could get Romans 15 and 4. Oh, here, you can pull it up on this one, please. Romans 15 and 4. So let me jump back down. Um First Peter 3 and 5, right? I'm gonna read it one more time once she gets this precept for it. It says, for after this manner in the old time the holy women also who trusted in Yahweh adorned themselves. How did they adorn themselves? With a quiet spirit, right? An ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, right? Which is in the sight of the Most High of great price. So that's verse 4, right? So that's a great price to the Most High. Um, when a woman has that meek and quiet spirit, right? So let me read this. So this is Romans 15 and 4, right? This is a precept for the verse. The verse that's up right now, First Peter 3 and 5. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So the first part, I'm reading it again, Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things are written aforetime were written for our learning, right? So all the things that were written before, all about all the old prophets and all of the holy women, like it's saying right here, right? It says, for after this manner, in the old time, the holy women also, right? In the old time, which is for our learning, who trusted in Yahweh, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands, right? So you have to understand that it's not a new thing that like now you have to start obeying your husband. This is what our ancestors have been doing since the beginning. It was supposed to be like this since the very beginning, right? And through all the different inventions and stuff of man, it went, we've gone astray as a nation, as a whole, right? Have gone astray, right? So let me jump to um verse 6. So it says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Adawan, whose daughters ye are. So who are the daughters? It's talking about the daughters of Zion, right? The daughters of Zion are supposed to be, like it says in verse 4, they're supposed to have an ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, right? Which what was an ornament used for? Like on a tree,
Decoration.
right? Like a decoration, something that is shown, right? So just by looking at an Israelite woman that's in the spirit, like looking at you right now, I can tell you have a meek spirit. You know what I mean? Um, for after this manner in the old time, the holy women also who trusted in Yahweh adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Adawan, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well. You are considered Sarah's and Abraham's daughters as long as you are doing this, right? It says, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. So now, if you think about this, or if you want to get Genesis 3:16, Baba Kasha, Genesis 3:16. So if you think about this, right, it says, I'm gonna read it one more time while you got that. So even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Adawan, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. Now, to some women, or to a lot of women in this generation, they're afraid to be in subjection to their husband. Would you agree?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Most of them, right? It's an amazing thing, and not in a good way, right? It's an amazing thing for them to see a woman in subjection to their husband, right?
Yeah.
So let me read this real quick. So this is Genesis 3:16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. Right. So because of Eve and the sin committed, the conception or bringing forth the child was painful. Right. It's not like a deer. Like if you look in nature, when we were talking about this too, right?
Yeah.
If a deer has a baby, right? For example, the deer just like basically just pops out the baby, right? Looks like there's no pain, just prances off, takes off, right? But the point I'm trying to get to is, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee, right? So since the very beginning, since Genesis, the 3rd chapter, it's saying that a woman's desire is to her husband, right? A woman's desire is that he will rule over her, right? Whether they admit it or not, right? Because like it said in what was it, verse 6, it says that even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Adawan, which means Lord, right? Whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with them any amazement. Like we're saying nowadays, I mean, with all these different movements, feminism and all these things, they are afraid and they are amazed at that, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like growing up, you want to speak like your intentions when you were, even when you were young before you came into the truth?
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I guess I can say my intentions were always, I guess you could say, good intentions. Um, I always wanted like my own family, you know, I wanted to have my own husband, and you know, my family were under the curses, so I wanted to find a way for my life to, I guess, turn out better than what I had growing up. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to say anything.
So like you, what did you want when you were since you were young,
I mean, I've always wanted my own family.
right? You wanted your own
Yeah, I
family.
mean, I always wanted someone to be over me, someone that can help me do the things that I can't do. You know, I wouldn't want to be alone. I never wanted to be alone, I guess. Um, but I mean, when I had my son, I there was a time where I could have, you know, stayed single, but I didn't I didn't want that. You know, I knew I wasn't gonna be able to do everything that I needed to do for my son. You know, I knew I would have to work and maybe put him in a daycare or something, and me being overprotective, you know, I don't like leaving my son anywhere with anybody unless, you know, me or my husband is around.
Huh.
So,
So our son, just to be clear,
oh,
I'm
sorry.
just kidding. But no. So like yeah, like I said though, I mean there was a very short. I mean it was literally like a day, right, where we had our differences, whatever. And to be honest, it was mostly on my part. You know, still having like spirits and smoking weed does cause laziness, as I'm sure most of y'all or many of y'all can attest to. It causes laziness, and as a head you cannot be lazy, right? You can't provide, and like you said, I mean since you were younger you wanted somebody to lead you and to be over you without even
Yeah.
knowing of the truth or of
Hmm.
the word, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna read this one more time. Genesis 3:16. I'm just gonna read the second part. It says, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over you. Right? So the woman's desire is like you said, for a man to rule over them, right? So actually let me get if you want to get Isaiah 3:12, Baba Kasha, if you want to get Isaiah 3:12. If you could pull up Isaiah 3:12, Baba Kasha, so we could go over that real quick. Cause like she said, I mean, most women they want that, you know what I mean? But through all of the different things that have happened to our people, oppression and all these things, women get it in their head, and even men um get the wrong understanding of certain things, or they get the wrong spirit because of things that they've been through, right? So let me use this verse real quick as an example. It says, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. So in this society in general, I mean, women try to rule over the men, right? If you even look at any relationships of people that you know that are in the world, right? Like the toughest man that I knew growing up, which like my rib said, I was under the curses as well, right? I didn't grow up with my dad in the household. So my uncle, one of my uncles who was in the military, I saw him as like the tough guy, you know what I'm saying? And that's who I really looked up to. One other cousin, but he was in and out of jail and things of that nature. So I looked up to him, and he did 3 or 4 tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, and I mean, he did some crazy things over there, you know what I'm saying? And when he came back, he wasn't even really, he was more distant. He went through certain things, and but when he came back, it was still like my tia was, or his wife was still able to hold that. Was like in
Hmm.
my eyes was the ideal example of what a man should be. You know what I mean? At that time, because of course I didn't have knowledge of the
Yeah.
truth.
I mean, I even had that power over you for a while.
For a while, she had the same
Yeah.
power over me, which I gave my power to a
Yeah.
woman. Which I mean, Proverbs. Let me get it real quick, right? Proverbs. Everybody, all these women want to be Proverbs 31 women, right? They'll put it in their bio and all these things. But if you read the third verse of Proverbs 31, right, This is Proverbs 31:3. It says, "Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings." Right? So the strength of a man is supposed to be a man's, right? The man is supposed to lead, and the man is not supposed to give that strength to a woman, right? Because it destroys kings. Like look at Solomon, for example, right? Solomon was the wisest man to ever walk the earth, besides Yahushua, of course. And look what happened to him in the end, right? His wives led him astray from the Most High, right? So we're supposed to be the kings of the earth, and because of that, we cannot give our strength unto women, right? Nor thy ways to that which destroys kings. That can destroy you as a king of the earth. That giving that strength. But like she said, I was giving her that strength at one time, and it's even, I mean, it's crazy because anybody that we know, it has either been through that or is in the majority of the people we know, right, that are in that certain position. And that comes down to, I mean, of course, the curses and things of that nature, but also it's prophecy, like it says right here, right? And women rule over them, right? As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the ways of thy path. If a woman is ruling over you as a man, right? Or if you as the man are being obedient to a woman instead of the other way around, right? I mean, that is destroying your path, because 1 Corinthians 14:40, what does it say?
That all things need to be done decently and in order.
All things have to be done decently in order, right? You have to realize that the Most High is a God of order. So if everything has to be done decently and in order, and I'm sure y'all are familiar with this, but let me get this is 1 Corinthians 11:3. 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, or Christ Yahushai, right? And the head of the woman is the man. And the head of Hamashiach is the Most High. So it's the Most High Yahweh, right? The Most High Yahweh, then Yahushai, right? Then the man, then the woman, then the children, right? Obviously, which it doesn't say that, but it goes without saying, right? So when you realize that the order of the majority of our people is out of order, like that really says a lot as to, like the whole many are called, few are chosen. Or like in Second Ezra's, what is it, the 9th chapter, which says the wave and the drop. That there's many, it's like a wave them that are going to perish, right? And just a drop are going to be saved, right? Because the Most High, it is a God of order, right? And this is the order. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach is the Most High, right? So we have to follow this order in our marriages and in our households, or else it's just not going to work out, right? So this is 1 Corinthians 14:40. Let all things be done decently and in order, right? So all things have to be done decently and in order. So going back, let me see. Let's go back to real quick Genesis 3:16, right? So like you said, even growing up without knowing the word, you wanted that stability, obviously, right? Because I mean, neither one of us, and like many of the people that are going to see this or watching it right now, I'm sure many of our people, because of the curses, didn't have that stability, right, in their homes. So you wanted that, and you wanted a man to lead you and guide you, right? Which is really beautiful, because like I said, most women don't want that, right? Nowadays they don't want that. But since the beginning, actually, if you could get Ecclesiastes 7:29, Ecclesiastes 7:29, Baruch Kasha. So yeah, since the beginning, like we said, Genesis 3:16, the Most High made it so that the woman would want to be under the man, right? But because of all the different inventions and feminism and all these things, it made them turn their minds and their hearts and their thoughts towards something that is not biblical, right? So this is Ecclesiastes 7 and 29. The water for that. Uh, Lo, this only have I found, that the Most High hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. Right? So he made man and woman upright, and we sought out our own inventions, our own things, whether it be feminism, whether it be homosexuality, whether it be anything part of that LGBT, transgender. I want to be a he, she, her, whatever. I still don't understand any of that. Um, it says, Lo, this only have I found, that the Most High hath made man upright, right? But they sought out many inventions. So I know a long time ago a brother said, the Most High made man upright, right? And then through LGBT and all this stuff, they started going being like this, right? They started, the Most High made man to be a man, and he made the woman to be a helpmeet, right? The Most High made us that way for a reason, right? Which is why, actually, if you get Genesis 2:18, please, Mama. If you could pull up Genesis 2 and 18, Baba Kasha'ak. So I'm going to read it one more time. Lo, this only have I found, that the Most High hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions, right? So even in your youth, and you, like I said, you had that meek spirit, and you wanted that, what the Most High set out. You wanted the order, right? Would it be safe to say like you didn't have any type of order in your house or growing up?
I didn't have any. No, we didn't. We didn't know what order was supposed to be. You know, I mean, my dad was somewhat, you know, he kind of set some of the rules, you know, but I mean, he was always gone. You know, he was gone for the whole week working. He'd come back on the weekends, and I mean, there wasn't really much order in our house. Growing up.
So same thing with me. I mean, I didn't really have, like I said, it was just my mom in the household. And then we lived with one of my tias, lived with the other one, my grandma, back and forth, you know. So it was really just women. There was really no order. But in hindsight, you know, it's like Psalm 65 and 5, how it says, by terrible things and righteousness will the Most High answer us sometimes. So looking back at it now, I mean, now that we have 4 children, right? Which for those of y'all who don't know, I mean, I have 2 children with my wife, and then I had 2 children from high school, actually, right? So having 4 children now, in hindsight, looking back and seeing like my dad was never there, that really became a blessing because it pushed me that much more to want to be the father figure that I never had, right? So this is Genesis 2 and 18. Did you get them?
Yes.
Thank you. It says, and Yahweh God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. Right? So you have to understand that since the beginning, again, right? The first thing in the whole Bible, you can look it up, read Genesis 1 to this verse. This is the first thing in the Bible that the Most High says it is not good, right? It's not good for a man to be alone, right? And why? Because we know what men, especially in this generation, men left to themselves, it's not gonna equal anything good, right? Which is why it says, I will make him a help meet for him, right? So just the fact that, like you were saying, you wanted someone to help you, which it goes both ways. Yes, you're my help meet, but I lead and you follow, right? So which brings me to the next question. Like, I'm sure some most of the people that are going to see it are already familiar with it. But like, in your opinion, what do you think is the number one trait that, let's go with the women first, that a woman should have in order to go into marriage and be prepared to follow the word?
I personally think obedience would be the most important because, I mean, if you're looking towards marriage and wanting that covering, that head, I mean, if you can't even submit to the Most High, you know, like, how are you then going to submit to a husband, you know? So I think, you know, obedience would be the most important.
And I agree with that. And if a feminist sees this video, she's going to dislike it and flag it and go crazy, right? But I agree with you 100% because, like I've said many times, like, how can you how can you follow, right? If you want to head, you have to be ready to follow, right?
Yeah.
So then for a man, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but what would you say is the number one trait that a man should have?
I think the number one would be leadership. You know, I mean, he'd have to be able to lead you through the Most High. And I mean, if he can't, then what's the point? What's the point of even having a husband that can lead you? You know?
Huh. So I mean, so you won't be alone though.
Yeah, but I mean, you'll just be miserable.
Con,
You'll
and
end up
that's
being miserable.
and then we've personally seen, like, we've both, like, of course we're not gonna say any names or nothing like that, but I mean we've both seen many sisters that rush into marriage and things of that nature, and they end up, I mean, being miserable, right?
Depressed.
Miserable, depressed, going through things that, when you really think about it, they did bring upon themselves because they were too hasty, or they didn't look for the right traits in a man, leadership being number one, or even they went in without the spirit of being obedient.
Yeah.
Right. So let me go back to First Peter, the third chapter, and I'm gonna read 6 and then jump to 7, right? So it says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Adawan, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. So you need to obey, and don't be afraid to obey your husband, right? It's according to the word. You know what I mean? And I know that's another thing. Like, when some sisters come into the truth and then they're being obedient to their husbands, and then they have worldly friends or things like that, right? And what are they gonna say?
They're gonna judge you for. They're gonna think you're crazy,
right? They're gonna think you're crazy. They're gonna think you shouldn't be doing that. They're gonna think you're a slave, or they're gonna, you know what I mean? Or they're gonna think just horrible things, right? So let's go to verse 7. It says, so now, verse 7. So that was more of for women, right? So now let's go for men. So it says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. So you have to dwell with your wife according to knowledge, right? Which took me some time to do, but at one point, like we were talking about, at one point it was probably how long? When I was like, there was one point where I can't, like, I was like, okay, I'm not smoking weed no more. I'm gonna try and get myself together. And it was probably how long, when I was like putting together categories and stuff?
I say probably about a year.
It was probably around a
really
year.
Long time.
For more or less about a year, right? Where every single day I would be in the Bible, or I would be on the computer getting precepts and stuff, and I was just making pages and pages and pages of categories, right? Just different categories. So it'd be like a husband and wife, how they're supposed to treat each other, or Judgment Day, or abominations. What else?
Laws.
The law's not done away with, just categories and categories, right? Which right now it's like over 70 pages. And I keep saying, like, I'm going to share it once I'm done. But the more that I think that, like, yeah, I'm never going to be done. You know what I mean? You can never know everything in the word, right? There's always more to learn, right? But like it says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. So part of leading, like she said, the number one thing to look for in a man is he needs to be able to lead you, right?
And righteousness, most importantly, not
exactly,
not seeing it as, oh, I'm gonna tell you, whatever I want you to do. You have to listen to me.
which some brothers take advantage of, right? They say, oh well, no, I'm the head. Look at 1 Corinthians 11:3. I'm the head. You're under me, right? Do this, do that, right? But that's why it says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. What is knowledge? It's talking about the knowledge of the Most High, right? Obviously. So it means dwell with them according to the word, right? Giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel. So now another thing, you are supposed to give honor with this knowledge. Part of this knowledge is knowing that your wife is the weaker vessel, right? And when you know that she's the weaker vessel, you have to respect her as a weaker vessel, knowing she's going to be more emotional at times and things of that nature. So now some men know this and they'll play on those emotions or use those emotions to get what they want out of a woman, right? And we've also seen that happen. Um, so it says, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life. So, heir, if you think of the word inherit, we're all trying to inherit the kingdom, right? So, being heirs of the kingdom, we have to see it as we're trying to do that together, right? We're trying to be heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered, right? So, our prayers when are going to be stronger when we're together, right? When we're of one mind, of one accord. And actually, if you could pull up, what is it? What is it? What is it? The grace of life together. Ecclesiastes, the fourth chapter. Can't remember exactly what verse it is. I think it's 6 or 9. I think I wrote it down. Ecclesiastes 4, try 9. Ecclesiastes, let me see. Okay, Khan. So this says, right, as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered, right? When we're on one accord, that's going to be, our prayers are going to be even more powerful, right? Because like the verse we started with said that the Most High counts it beautiful when a husband and a wife agree together, right? So this is Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 9. Ecclesiastes 4 and verse 9. Let me see. I'll pull it up once the brother posted up. Ecclesiastes 4 and 9. And I'm gonna go all the way to 12. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. Right? So this is Solomon speaking, right? The wisest man besides Yahushua. So two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. So there's been times in the past, right? And not to call you out, but like say there's certain things happen. Say a family member or somebody will tell you something or say something, and it kind of gets you out of the spirit. You get angry, or you just get out of the spirit, right? And then I'll say, you know, what's wrong? I can tell something's wrong, and then I see that Satan is trying to get to you, and I'll tell you, you know what? Just relax. It's fine. Don't let him get to you. This doesn't affect our house, right? And like we were talking about earlier, it's very important for married couples or people that are courting, right? A big like change or shift in our marriage, I would say, right, is when we decided or had the realization that you cannot ever put anybody else outside of your household over your household. What does that mean? It's like the uncle that I was talking about, right? That was in the army. He told me before I was even in the truth, he said, help anyone you can, right? Help. If you have the means to help somebody, help them. But as long as it doesn't hinder your own household, right? So that's a big thing that is very important, wisdom, that you cannot put anything over your household, right? Which I'll actually, if you want to get First Timothy 5 and 8, Mama, Baba Kasha. So it says two are better than one. Let me see if the brother pulled it up. Okay, Khan, the water for that out. So two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor, right? The Most High sees when two people are being righteous and in a union together, and it's counted more because we're both laboring, right, for Him. So, for if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. So, as somebody say she's falling out of the spirit and I help her back into it, if you think about it, that's another sign that somebody is not in the spirit, right? When somebody else, like let's say she's falling and then I don't really care, right? Like, oh yeah, what happened? Oh, you know, this happened with this person and blah, blah, blah. And they got me mad. And I'm just like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even care. Or even worse, I'll be trying to pull you into some type of sin, right? Whether it be friends or whether it be dating, what the word calls dating, which is really courting, or married, right? let's say I say, oh yeah, why don't you just come stay over and we're not married, for example, right?
Yeah.
That's not helping you back up. It's actually causing you to fall, right? It says, for if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth. So woe, that's danger, right? Being to somebody that's alone when they fall. And just because, like we've talked about many times, just because you're dating somebody or you're married to somebody, that doesn't mean that you're not alone, right? Which
Yeah.
we've seen that as well. Like if you fall and you're in a relationship where the person is not trying to follow the Most High, they're not going to care if you fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's still dangerous to you
Yeah.
because they're not going to help you back up. For he hath not another to help him up, right? Then verse 11, again, if two lie together, actually, let me put it up here. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? Verse 12, and if one prevail against him, so let's say one person prevails against Satan, right? And if one prevail against him, let's say Satan's trying to get to you and he's starting to prevail and you're getting out of the spirit and you're getting mad and this, that, and the other. It says two shall withstand him. So then us two working together, right? Me telling you, you know what? You need to rule your spirit. And I show you the verse. You need to rule your spirit. And then I show you the verse, be angry and sin not, right? And you're like, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna calm down, right? Which is
Yeah.
another thing that we've learned, not to talk when you're
Yeah. When you're angry or feeling any type of emotion, but it isn't, going off of wisdom.
calm, because wisdom, you have wisdom and you have emotion, right? Wisdom and emotion. And they're 99.999% of the time they're contradicting each other, right?
Yeah.
Wisdom is coming like out of your own heart, right? Um, so verse 12, and if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Right? So it's saying when two people are coming together following the Most High, it's it's not going to be quickly as easily broken as if you're just by yourself and I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm over here smoking weed. I'm just playing video games all day. You can keep the Sabbath. You can keep the holy days. It's a lot harder for you, especially as a woman.
Um,
And and it's a sad thing, but there's a lot of women that go through that, right? That go through that. So then it says, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. So I guess, I mean, I didn't really take any notes or nothing like that on that, but Solomon, obviously, who had multiple wives, right? Might as well touch on that real quick. And I mean, we can, like I said, this is more of just a introduction or a testimony to our marriage, right? But hopefully, I'm probably gonna hit up the brother Yeshaya. I don't know if he's on here right now. I don't know if he's on here right now, but if you're watching Yeshaya, if not, I'm gonna hit you up later. If we're thinking right before this started, we're like, hey, that would be cool. Maybe we do like a part two with my rib, and then Yeshaya and his rib, and we can talk more of like the duties once you're married, right?
okay.
That would be another study. But
Yeah.
if you want to touch on real quick, maybe we can do one on polygamy later. But it says, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken, right? So I know a lot of one of the most, what's another word besides controversial? I don't want to say controversial, but one of the most I mean, for lack of a better term, one of the most controversial issues amongst Israel is polygamy, right? So if you want to say real quick how you felt about it when we initially came into the truth, and then we could talk
Yeah.
about as opposed to now.
I mean, when I first heard about it, I didn't agree with it. I couldn't think of the fact, like
Couldn't accept.
I couldn't accept, yeah, sharing my husband, with someone. I don't know. I thought it was strange. I mean, I didn't know how our people, that was how they built up their nation and stuff. But I was a very emotional person, so I mean, the thought of sharing him with somebody else, I mean, they got me all in my feels, I guess you can say. But I mean, now that through growth in the word and stuff, I see how it can benefit families, marriages, you know. And I mean, now that I see it, I see it as, like unity, raising up the family and stuff. And I now have came to accept, that polygamy is, it can benefit you in a lot of ways.
Um, and coming from, she has Cherokee blood on her, well, on your grandma's side, right? It's not on your dad's side, but at the same time, she has Cherokee blood in her family, and then I have, like, going back, Aztec or native blood. So one of the sayings amongst them is, it takes a tribe to raise a child. You know what I mean? And coming from hundreds, thousands of years back. So coming more into the wisdom and to the knowledge, and like I said in the beginning of this, I mean, I know she's grown a lot spiritually, especially because when we first came into the truth, there's no way you would have came on live and talked about, anything pertaining to the word or to marriage, that sort of thing, right? So, and it says, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. But like I said before, we can do another one, maybe specifically on polygamy, specifically on duties and stuff like that. But I mean, basically, let's go back to First Peter. Actually, let me look at the comments real quick. Oh, the watermelon here. Let me look at the comments real quick. Okay, let me scroll back up. Jomar, Shalom, Tawada, for you both being transparent in your roles and past experiences, Khan. I'll praise the Most High for that, because, like I said, neither one of us were in the spirit to do this in the past. It's all through the Most High. Sir Araya, Shalom, Akin Akwa, Shalom, Shalom.
Shalom.
Northern Kingdom, call hello, Abanawa, Wa Hamashiach, Yahushai, call hello, Kwam Yasharala, Jomar, share the categories you got, Ak. I just wrote down the ones you shared on IG. So yeah, those were the ones I actually originally started with, right? Which those probably took me a month or two, but I have a lot more. And yeah, I'll get them all together, and this week, maybe by Sabbath, I'll share the rest of them. Master Shifu. Anaya says hi. Hi, Thea.
Hi, Anaya. I love you.
Hi, Anaya. So that's
our
niece.
Our niece, yeah.
Church of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barakata'ak. I think that's Azariah. Yeah, me and my rib too. Oh, Khan for sure. Maybe we can get on here by Sabbath, maybe. And chop it up. Village to raise a child. Khan. That's exactly right. Yeah. Y'all, Zebulon. So my rib's dad is from Guatemala, so that would be considered Zebulon. But again, I mean, we're not 100% sure. But I mean, that's for another.
I mean, he works like Issachar, so.
Khan, he works like how old is he? About 60 almost.
How old your mom?
60.
He's a year younger than her.
Okay, so yeah, her dad's about 60, and I mean, he still works hard like if he's 20 years old. You know what I mean? So I mean, he definitely has the spirit of Issachar, right? So we'll get back to First Peter real quick. First Peter, let me see. Let me scroll back up on the comments. First Peter 3 and 8. Let's go to 3 and 8. All right. So this is First Peter 3 and 8. So finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous. Right? So let's break it down piece by piece. So finally, be ye all of one mind. And we always talk about this. The number one thing, or from my understanding, and I mean you've agreed with me before, right? The number one reason why marriages don't work is because when the marriage is not of one mind, right? Mm-hmm. You have two people and they want to do their two separate things. When the word says that you become one flesh, right? You have to be a one flesh, one mind, one accord, right? Like it says in Philippians 2 and 2, right? Fulfill ye my joy, that you be on one accord, right? So it says, be ye all of one mind. you have to be of one mind to have a successful marriage. Meaning, like my rib a while back would say, man, these people have gifts, and what's my gift? You know what I mean? Like when it says you'll be baptized and receive the gift of the Holy Spirit, right? She was like, well, what's my gift? What's my gift? You can break down scriptures and you can prophesy and this, that, and the other. And then we know people that have dreams.
Discernment of dreams.
Right? There's people that have discernment. They can just tell somebody's off. There's people that have dreams and then they know what they mean. They can compare it to the word. There's people that get signs, right? We've seen a lot of people that get signs, and different things like that. And her gift to me, which is, I mean, like you said before, right? It's the most, in my opinion, it can be one of the most important gifts, right? Which we can't say it is the most important because it's like it says we're all a part of the body, right? Just because one's an eye and one's a hand, it doesn't mean that you could say, oh, you're the hand, you're more important, right? You're the leg, you're more important, because we all function together as a body under Yahweh and Yahushua, right? But her gift is to have a very adamant spirit, right? An adamant spirit. Like she'll read something more so in the past, right? But even now we'll find something maybe that we're like, oh yeah, we didn't know this, right? But coming into the truth for the last 4 years, she had a very adamant spirit, right? Adamant means refusing to be persuaded or to change your mind, right? So she would see something in the word and she would just be like, all right, the word says this, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, like
right?
with wearing pants. I mean, I didn't want to give up my pants, but I knew, I knew I had to do it. So I didn't want to keep putting it off. So I was like, you know what? If I don't do this, then it's never gonna happen. So I just got all my pants and I threw them in the trash, and I went off of like maybe 2 to 3 skirts for a good while before I started getting more. So, I mean.
And the mixed clothes too.
And the mixed clothes, yeah. So when I put my mind to do something, I'm like, like my king, like my other one said, I'm gonna do it. I have that adamant spirit, and I thank the Most High for that. And it's a real blessing to have that type of spirit. So
definitely, because even like when we first came into the truth and stuff, like I said, with the whole like for example, pork. Well, pork wasn't a big deal, right? We didn't really eat. We never liked, but like calamari, for example, I loved fried calamari, right? Yeah. And at the beginning, it was like she was like, we can't eat this, we can't eat this, we can't eat this. We're not eating it no more. And I was like, oh man, but what about that fried calamari though? And she was just like, she already had that adamant spirit where she was just, that's it. Like we can't do it, so we're not doing it. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely all praise to Most High for that, because I mean, that was another thing that I would say you won me over with that type of spirit, right? Like I said in the first verse of this chapter. So I would definitely say that that's more of your gift, right? Mm-hmm. So it says, finally be ye all of one mind. So now that we are on that one accord, on that one mind, we're so we see something, like we have to do it no matter what, right? Or like Sabbath. Remember, that was a big one, because I used to train. My routine was wake up, smoke weed, go train at the gym, right? Go do MMA, jiu-jitsu, whatever it was in the morning. Come back home, eat, smoke some more weed, wait till the next practice. Your face, I know you're like, man, that sounds so horrible. Now, right now, it sounds horrible. And then I would wait for practice in the evening, smoke before I go to practice, smoke with people from the gym after practice, right? Come home, eat, probably watch some fights or jiu-jitsu videos. Just that was my my God, right? Yeah. That was my idol. That was my thing that was leading me away from the Most High, right? Definitely. Weed and putting all my time into something that did not profit me, right? At all, because like if you think about it, I trained for like maybe 6-7 years straight, consistently every day, and I had more than 10 fights that just fell through. Like the Most High was just like, okay, this guy's gonna pull out last minute. Okay, this guy missed weight. Okay, now you're missing weight. Okay, now we're gonna cancel this event. We're gonna cancel another event. This guy is just gonna, you're gonna go drive to the place, and now this guy's gonna pull out. You know what I mean? So the Most High made it clear that that was something I was just wasting my time on.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was one of the things that we were not on one accord at the beginning, right? Because I would want to go and train on Saturdays.
Yeah.
I would want to train on Sabbath, Friday and Saturday, right? And now some people keep the lunar Sabbath. Even when we kept the lunar Sabbath for a short period of time, I would still want to, break that. But you were like, no, we have to follow this. You know what I mean?
I mean, I was gonna do it anyway. I mean,
yeah,
I wasn't gonna push it on. I didn't push it on him at all.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was the type, like, oh, it is what it is. The Most High is gonna deal with him as long as I'm trying to, please him to the best of my ability, and pray for him. That's all I can do. And, if the Most High finally gave him a new heart and a new mind, and now he's a really good husband and a good father, and I thank the Most High for that every day.
The water. Praises to the Most High for that. And that's why it says in the scriptures, you're supposed to obey your husband as unto the Lord, as unto Yahushai, right? Which, like you were saying, I think you mentioned it on Yeshaya's live yesterday.
Commented on her live. The example was, we're supposed to be submissive to our husband as unto the Lord, as unto Yahushai. So, I mean, the example that I like to use is our husbands are, I guess, mirroring Yahushai. So if Yahushai was, I'm just gonna use this as an example. If Yahushai was to, come and be like, oh, I want steak for dinner, and I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like eating that, like, I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna be quick, I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm down, I'm not gonna deny him, the steak that he wants, so I'm not gonna do that to my head either, and I don't do it grievously, so I think that's important also to not do it grievously.
Because it's like 1 John 5:3, which I'm sure most of y'all are familiar with. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous, right? So most people, when they quote that verse, they say, this is the fear of God, that you keep his commandments. See, I'm keeping commandments. And then you keep in Sabbath and you're like, oh man, I wish I could just cook something right now. You know what I mean? And it's grievous. And it's like us, we know from experience, if we tell, for example, if I tell one of my daughters, hey, she said to sweep and mop, why haven't you swept and mopped, right? Just an example. And then, fine, I'll do it. And then sweeping and mopping, like, oh, you know what I mean? That doesn't really count.
Yeah.
You have to do it in the right spirit, right? And that also goes along with, like when me and Yeshaya wanted to do the fruits of the spirit, but also the spirit of the law, right? And that goes along kind of hand in hand with that, right? It doesn't matter if you're keeping the laws in the wrong spirit, if that makes sense, which we can expound on later. But this is Colossians 3:18. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, right? So now some brothers will say, see, wives have to submit. You have to submit yourself to me. You're under me. I'm your head, right? But then it says, as it is fit in the Lord. So meaning, if Yahweh's the head, then Yahushai, then me, then her, right? She has to obey me as it is fit to Yahweh while Yahushai, right? Meaning, if I'm under Yahushai and Yahweh, they're not going to tell me break the Sabbath, right? If I tell you, cook me a burger, but it's Sabbath, or you have to obey me. No, it's as it is fit in the Lord, right? It's the same thing. I'm gonna have to obey Yahushai's example and Yahweh, right? They're not gonna tell me to do something contrary to the word, right? So I think that's very important to be said as well, because some brothers, like we said, brothers will try and take advantage of that, right? Or even like worldly dudes, if you're just dating or courting, whatever, well, you need to obey me, right? Well, you're telling me to do something that's against the word, so no, I don't have to obey you, right? It's like the example that I always use. If I'm working in Walmart, right, and I'm her manager, Okay, so I'm your head, right? In the business. I'm her manager, her shift manager. And I tell you, hey, go stock the shelves, right? But then one of my heads comes in, say the owner of the store comes in, and he says, hey, come with me, I need to talk to you. Like, who are you gonna listen to?
Yeah, the owner.
But of course, right? You're gonna listen to the one who has a higher authority.
Mm-hmm.
So when it says in Colossians 3:18, let me see if this if the brother pulled it up real quick. The water for that. Okay, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as it is fit in the Lord. So now, when it comes down to it, if I tell her do this, but she knows that my heads, right, Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai, would say, no, you're not supposed to do that, then obviously she is going to obey the word over me because they have a higher authority, right? But that just goes back to what verse was it? I believe it's verse 8. First Peter 3:8. Let me go back up on the comments real quick. It's a lot of comments. First Peter, here it is. First Peter 3:8. Finally, be ye all of one mind. So now a man is not going to tell his wife or even his girlfriend, right, or the woman he's courting, if he's truly trying to lead her in sincerity in the truth and trying to be of one mind. You're trying to follow the word. I'm trying to follow the word. I'm not going to be putting her in the position to go against the Most High, right? Because that just means that I don't really care about your soul, right? Which goes back to the courting. If y'all haven't seen the courting live that I did, that was it went more into that. But it says, finally be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another. So like not too long ago, something happened with your dad, and you got kind of sad and stuff like that, and I had to show that compassion. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As a man, you have to realize again that the woman is the weaker vessel. Okay, so there's only really two things that you can do with that knowledge. You can either take advantage of her being the weaker vessel, try and play on her emotions and get what you want out of the weaker vessel, or you can know that and use compassion and lead her in the proper way, right? So then it says love as brethren, right? And how do you what is it? First John 5:2.
How you know you love the children of the Most High? By loving the Most High and keeping His commandments.
So it says love as brethren, right? First John 5:2 says this is how you know you love the children of the Most High, which is your brethren, right? Or your sisters, which we're married, yes, but we're both children of the Most High, right? So we still have to love each other by keeping the commandments towards each other, meaning I'm going to correct her, right? If I see something that needs to be corrected, which means we are going to conduct ourselves in the correct manner according to the word, right? With with one another, right? So love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous. So let me go to verse 9. Was I already on? Yeah, I was already on verse 9. Salakia. So it says, not rendering evil for evil. Okay? So now before we came into the knowledge of the truth, right? A few times I could say that we tried to do that. Would you say? Like try not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing. Yeah. You say something bad to me, so then I'm like, well, I'm not gonna take that. I'm gonna say this to you. You're gonna try and make me feel bad, and then I'm gonna try and make you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was at the point in time where we could both be honest and say, I was giving my power to you. You know what I mean? But it was because we weren't grounded in the knowledge of the Most High. Yeah. Even though we were going to an apostolic church and we even got baptized in the wrong name, you know what I mean? And that was what, maybe around 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah, about.
So we weren't grounded in the truth, right? It says not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but contrary-wise blessing. So on the contrary, if your rib or your head is acting evil towards you or is talking to you in a way that they shouldn't be, right? You are supposed to do the contrary. bless them, right? Pray for them, right? Maybe
Mhm.
they went through something at work, or they're going through something, and you need to pray for them, right? And it's like Yahushua said, if you want to be forgiven, you have to forgive, right? So it can bring a blessing, like it says, it can bring you a blessing by just overlooking that, right? And I'm
Mhm.
sure there was many times you wanted to say something to me,
Yeah.
but in you holding your composure, controlling your spirit,
Mhm.
that brought you blessings from the Most High
Calm.
and worked your patience, right? So let me go to Sirach. Or actually, you know what? Let me make one more point real quick. Let me go back to verse 7. Back to verse 7. If you could bring up First Timothy 5 and 8, Baba Kasha. First Timothy 5 and 8. Okay, First Timothy 5 and 8. So this is First Peter 3 and 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. Right. So this is a very important verse because as the head, right, and like you said, you wanted someone to rule over you, to guide you, to lead you. Since you were before you were even in the truth, when you were just a young girl, right?
Yeah.
You said like as
I
far
guess
as
that was my fantasy, I guess.
right to be married.
Yeah, to be married, have my own family, have children. Yeah.
Which, like I said before, that's a beautiful thing because
Yeah.
most women don't want that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Most women, there's even some women, like we're not gonna say her name, but you know who I'm talking about. That I don't want kids. Oh, kids?
Yeah.
That's completely against the Most High, right?
Mhm.
I mean, in Genesis it says, "Be fruitful and multiply," right? That's the order that the Most High set up. You know what I mean? But it says, "Likewise, ye husbands dwell with them according to knowledge." Okay. Now, some people will say, look, this isn't a law though. You don't have to dwell with them according to knowledge. But in Deuteronomy 11, it says that you're supposed to store these words in your heart, teach them to your children, put them on speak of them in your house, put them on how to say, the doorposts of your house,
Mhm.
which could be, posting up verses in picture frames, things of that nature, right?
Wow.
But it says, likewise, ye husbands dwell with them according to knowledge. If you are going to have a wife, all right, the Most High gives you a wife. Okay, that's the first thing. The Most High gives you a wife, and He can give a wicked woman to a wicked man, or a godly woman to a man that fears the Most High, right? So if you're not dwelling with them according to knowledge, if you're not prepared to do that, it is going to be very, very bad for you. And let's go ahead and read this verse. Let me just go down on the comments real quick. Um, Here it is. Okay, it's First Timothy 5 and 8. I'm gonna read it off of here. But if any man, but if any provide not for his own, and specially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Right now, if you look up the word infidel, what does it mean? You remember?
Like unbeliever.
Like not like a non-believer, right? So it says if you as the head, as the man, are not providing for your own and for your own house, right? Especially for your own house, you are denying the faith, right? Because we're supposed to be, like you said, we're supposed to be mirroring Yahushai, right? And Yahushai gave his life for the church, right? And not only did he give his life for the church, he died for the church, right? Which the brother Yeshaya brought it out yesterday, that you have to be willing to die for your woman, right? Which like I've said before, many men are willing to die. If it came down to it, right, they would die for their woman. But before Yahushua died for the church, right, what did he do? What do you have to do before that? He lived for the
Amen. He was the example for us.
Exactly. He had to live for the church and set the example for us to follow, right? From baptism to the works to the spirit, fruits of the spirit, everything that he entailed and that he set the example to do, right? That is what Yahushua did for the church before he died for the church, right? So us being examples or being under him, and he is our head, his example is what we're supposed to be following. If you are not providing for your wife, right, it says he had denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. worse than a non-believer, right? Which that's a scary thing right there. If you're a man and you're say you're not married and you're thinking of courting or getting a woman, you need to make sure that you're doing things decently and in order, right? And make sure that you can provide. Because if not, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? You safe to say that?
Yeah.
And a lot of brothers do this to themselves, and a lot of sisters do this to brothers as well, right? They don't want to be alone, and I'm gonna push for marriage, and well, wait a minute. What if this man can't provide physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, all of these things, and then you go into the marriage, and then it's not what you expected, right? But that's why there's so many precepts as to trying the spirit and all of those things, right? So let me look at the comments real quick. Go back up. Let me see where we are. Ready past this. Sarah Raya, beautiful. Khan, all praise to the Most High, man. It is beautiful. Like the verse we started with, what was it? Sirach 25:1. It says that it's a beautiful thing in the eyes of the Most High when a man and woman agree, right? Powerful. Khan. Kal halal akwath. Khan. All praise to the Most High. Titus 2:1-15. Khan. So like I said, we'll go more into Titus. You know how a man's supposed to carry himself, how a woman's supposed to carry herself for another lesson. Maybe either with the brother Azariah and his rib, or with Yeshaya and his rib. However, the Most High sets it up. Because yeah, once we get into Titus 2, that's more of like the behavior and how you conduct yourself, carry yourself, things of that nature, right? Again, Titus 2. Let me see. 1 Timothy 5:8. We read that. Powerful, really hard for Judah. So if you could bring up Sirach 26 and 26, Baba Kashah. We'll probably just get like 2 or 3 more scriptures, and we'll finish it with that. Because this was more, like I said, just like a testimony of how we started, you know, in our marriage and how we've grown and stuff throughout the years, right? So if you could pull up Sirach 26 and 26, and then Mama, if you could get Tobit 8, Tobit 8 and 7, Tobit 8 and 7. So just bear with me one moment. As soon as the brother pulls it up, I'll read it. Okay, the water. So I'll go ahead and read this one first. It's Tobit. It's a book of Tobit in the Apocrypha, chapter 8 and verse 7. It says, "And now, O Yahweh, I take not this my sister for lust, but uprightly." Right? Therefore, mercifully ordain that we may become aged together. Right? So I'm going to break it down from the top. So, "And now, O Yahweh, I take not this my sister for lust." Now, this is, I would say it's like the biggest reason why men take women. I mean, as a wife, as a sexual partner, as whatever it is, right? It's for lust.
Yeah, I mean, even for women too.
Yeah, even for women as well, right? We're not just gonna pick on men, but it tends to be more of a man. It tends to be more of a man that tends to do this more often, right? But of course, there is a lot of women out there that do it too. "And now, O Yahweh, I take not this my sister for lust, but uprightly." If you're gonna have a marriage as a man, right? So this was Tobit or Tobias was taking the sister, and he said, "I'm not taking her for lust," right? The problem with men, right? I won't even say men, because it's more, you're not a man until you're following the Most High, and you're trying to follow the example that Yahushua left, and trying to follow the word, right? Which is Yahushua, John 1:1. He's the word, right? So most boys in the world take women for lust, right? They don't really care about them. They don't love them. They'll say that they love them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they take them for lust and not uprightly. So what is uprightly? It's I'm going to take her and do right by her. Do right how? By the word, right? I'm going to be her head. I'm going to lead her. I'm going to guide her. I'm going to provide for her the way that I should, and things of that nature. It says, I'm going to read it one last time. And now, O Yahweh, I take not this my sister for lust, but uprightly. Therefore, mercifully ordain that we may become aged together. Right? So that goes back to First Peter, where it says we're trying to be heirs of life together, right? Of eternal life. So it says he's asking the Most High, please mercifully ordain, make it happen that we may become aged together, right? Salaki, the water again, not for pulling this verse up. I just saw it right now. But it says, therefore, mercifully ordain that we may become aged together. So if you look at it physically or more carnally, you'll say, let us have a long life together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Till death do us part,
Come.
is what they say. But it's more talking about spiritually in the kingdom too. You know, we're trying to be heirs of life together, right?
Come.
And when you're on that same accord and that you have that same mindset, then it's like it said in Sirach 25:1. It's a beautiful thing in the eyes of the Most High, right? And it's a powerful thing. Like Solomon said, when two are together, they have a good reward for their labor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I was off by myself trying to follow the Most High, you're off by yourself trying to follow the Most High, or we're together and it's just you. Like we know some sisters trying to keep the holy days or keep the Sabbath or things of that nature by themselves. And I mean, I know we feel really bad, but in the end, I mean, that's how it worked out, right? That's how the cards played. And more often than not, it's because sisters either didn't take heed to the word or things of that nature, right? So therefore mercifully ordained that we may become aged together. And that's what our goal is as marriage, right? In marriage. It's that we can become ordained together and get eternal life together, right? Most High willing, and with our children. So now this is Sirach 26 and 26. It says, a woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, right? So if you could pull up, I believe it's Wisdom of Solomon 7. Let me see, did I write it down? No, I didn't. You know what? If you could give me First Timothy 5:14, 1 Timothy 5:14, Baba Kashaw. So it says, a woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all, right? So if you think about it, a woman, and like we said, like you said before, right? How it's easier.
Yeah.
If you want to explain that real quick while I get a verse real quick, Mama.
I mean, I feel like it's easier, being married for me to follow the Most High, because I mean, I have children, I don't go out anywhere, and I mean, I have family, but I don't really, I guess, hang out with them because, well, for personal reasons, and
Except your mom.
yeah, except my mom,
to honor your parents,
her, to comfort her when she needs comforting.
Let her see the grandchildren and things of that nature.
But I think it's easier, to follow the word when you're married because you have your duties. I have children that I need to take care of. I have my husband that also needs my time as well. And I have my duties. I was never the type to go out anyway. I like being home. So I think it's real easy. I feel like it's easier to follow the word when you're married because if you're single, you have more time to do it. Things that are worldly, I guess you can say. Or I mean, it can be used for good. I mean, you're single, you have a lot of time to study, to study up on the word and grow in wisdom. But I mean, as for my personal experience, I feel it's easier, in a marriage to follow the Most High.
Agreed. And when, not just in any marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when the man is leading and when the woman is following that lead, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
if I wasn't following
Oh yeah.
Yahweh Shai and Yahweh, then how could you follow, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be hard, but I mean, I know I'd still have like the, I still have
The
that
zeal,
zeal.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I've always had it. I just didn't know how to.
It's like in Romans where it says, "You
Yeah.
have my people have a zeal, but not according to knowledge," right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how both of us were before we came into the truth. Because, like you were saying, even when we were in like Christianity or
Mm-hmm.
apostolic or whatever it was, we still had that zeal for more knowledge, you know. But it just wasn't according to the word,
Yeah.
you know. So let me read this again. It says, "A woman that dishonoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all." So if you could pull up Wisdom of Solomon 7:28, Baba Kasha'ak, we'll probably finish with these two verses. We'll finish with these two verses. Um, so it says, "A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all." Right? So a woman, if you think about it, like you said, in a sense, if the man is following the Most High and she's following that man's lead, right? All she has to do, really, to be judged wise of all, is to follow and be obedient and honor her husband, right? So it all comes down to order, like we said. It's all about doing things decently and in order. If the man's in order, and then the woman can be obedient, like you said, the most important trait for a woman to have, right? That adamant spirit, or be obedient, she will be considered wise of all. But she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all, right? So I'm gonna read this real quick. Wisdom of Solomon 7:28. And it says, "For the Most High loveth none but him that dwelleth with wisdom." Right? So now this could go with the head or with the helpmeet, right? If the man is not dwelling with wisdom, it just says right here, "For the Most High loveth none but him that dwelleth with wisdom." Because when you're dwelling with wisdom, right? Not knowledge, because a lot of people, like we're saying, there's scholars that study the Bible all day long for years and years, but they don't have wisdom to apply it, right? So it says, "For the Most High loveth none but him that dwelleth with wisdom." So as a head, you have to dwell with wisdom, and as a woman, you have to know this: a woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all. If your head is following the example of Yahushai, under Yahweh, right? All you have to do is honor your head, right? Do your duties and respect your husband. And most high willing, he's doing the same for you. He's leading you and helping you follow the word so that you can be heirs together, right? Because if not, you're going to be, you dishonor him and in your pride, and you are going to be counted ungodly of all, right? And we don't even have to give examples. There's millions of examples of how women just dishonor and disrespect their head, right? And that's a representation or symbolic of the church to Yahushai, or to Yahushai to the head, which is Yahweh, right? So when a woman is dishonoring her head, she is in turn dishonoring Yahweh and Yahushai. So I'm gonna read this one more time, and then we'll probably finish with First Timothy. So it says, "A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all," right? So now let's jump to First Timothy 5:14. It says, "I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully." Actually, if you could pull up the verse after that, Mama, please. Verse 15. So it says, "I will therefore that the younger women marry." Why? Because like my rib said, if you have the knowledge that all you have to do really is honor your husband, and you're going to be considered wise of all, like that's a powerful thing right there, right?
Timothy 5:15.
Yeah, come the water. So it says, "I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house." And as we'll get into Titus, the second chapter, the duties of a woman, things like that, hopefully, or most high willing, in the next video, when you've had children, you're guiding your house, you're honoring your husband, it's so much easier to follow the word, right? It's so much easier to follow. You're not out. You don't have all these temptations. You don't have people trying to lead you to do things against the Most High, right? So guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully, right? So we were talking about earlier how in Job in the first chapter, it said Satan came to the Most High, right? And he said, and the Most High said to him, "Oh, consider my servant Job, right? He's walking uprightly." And then what did Satan say? He said, "Oh, well, you have a hedge around him. Take that hedge off, and he's going to curse you, right? Curse you to your face, or curse your name, something to that nature." And Satan is looking for a way to speak reproachfully, to speak shame, to speak bad about you, right? So that's why it says, "I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully." The water for posting this up. So verse 15, for some are already turned aside after Satan, right? And if you look at women in general, and that's why, I mean, I've had some brothers tell me, why do you, and his brothers from a certain camp, right? Why do you baby, or why do you try to favor women, this, that, and the other? And I'll even say, I mean, his brothers from GMS, right? They'll say, you post, I've had multiple times they told me, like, you post too much stuff, like babying sisters, well, the way I see it is showing love to sisters, right? Because you have to understand that a meek, like it said, right? A meek and a humble and a modest spirit, that is something good in the Most High's eyes, right? And it's really, really rare, especially nowadays in this day and age, where everybody wants to be a hot girl and a thought and what else? A bad bitch and all this other stuff, right? It's really rare to see a woman, not just with their head covered, right? Not just in a skirt or whatever, but to have that spirit of modesty, right? So it says, I'm gonna read this one last time. First Timothy 5 and 14. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. So I could say, and all praise to the Most High, because it's all through him. That's exactly what you're an example of, is guiding the house, and you bear children, and you got married just like you wanted to since before you were in the word, right? And because of that, now you are not giving an occasion to the adversary, to the enemy, to Satan, to speak bad on you, So Sirach 26 and 26, a woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all. So this is why I can humbly say that I am blessed, because I know I have a wise woman, right? Because she honors me in all the ways that she's supposed to, right? And then some, a lot of times, right? So let me get one more verse. Let me see. No, it's Sirach 26. Let me see. Sirach 26 and 23. All right. It says, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth Yahweh. Right. So I know there's some brothers on here as well that, if you have a godly woman, if you have a modest woman, it's because you actually fear the Most High, right? I mean, that's straight out of the scriptures. And if you have a wicked woman, it's because a wicked woman, let me pull it up real quick. The water again, Daniela. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man. So some men wonder, man, well, why is this? She's a Proverbs 9 and 13 woman, right? She's loud and clamorous. She's like a scorpion. I'd rather live on the rooftop than dwell in a house with her, like it says in the Proverbs, right? Well, it's because, I mean, you're being wicked, right? Either that, or you're not. You didn't. How could I say? Try the spirit. You took her for lust, like I said in Tobiah, in Tobit, right? One of these things. So my advice to any brothers that are trying to get a godly woman is you need to start fearing the Most High, right? And and when you really fear the Most High, like I said in the last live that was on fear, it's going to drive away sin, right? And wrath and punishment. So with that, let me see. And then to the sisters, I would say it's a good idea to get ahead because in these last days, and a godly head, right?
Yeah.
Don't you have to be patient, right? You have to be patient. It's all in the most high's time. Because if you're not patient, if you don't try the spirit, you're gonna end up like all or like many sisters that we've known and we've counseled and stuff, and they don't listen, and not to us, right, but to the Most High's word when it comes to courting, counseling, all these things, right? So I'm gonna finish with this Psalm 37:4. Delight thyself also in Yahweh, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart, right? Delight in the Most High, and he will give you the desires of your heart. So, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah, to all you brothers and sisters out there. Most High willing, we'll go live with the part 2, part 3, however the Spirit allows us to do, right? So, all praise to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.
Shalom.